the thing about my journey is my own unique journey. There is nobody else on the planet who has, if you're looking now at the microcosm of my journey, it is unique and it's different from the microcosmic journey that each other person on this planet is traveling. I think we're all traveling our own heroes or heroines journey.
Hello, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on For Soul Illumination with my friend, Dr. Janet Smith Warfield. Hi, Janet. How are you?
Hiya.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you here. I'm so excited to learn about your new book that you just wrote called Surrendering into Soul, a Heroine's Journey, which we'll have to learn more about that. But also, I want to introduce you to my audience because of your, I want to say post-PhD in words, and how you see words and how you consider words art. And I think this is the perfect time for everyone to learn about that. But let's first start with how you started on your journey of learning about surrendering into soul and your word art.
Well, I've been working and playing with words for over 55 years now. I'm 87 and a half, so I've been around for a while. I've had a lot of different experiences. I've lived in 5 different countries and I've visited many more. So I've been exposed to a lot of different cultures and different ways of thinking. Let's see. I was not trying to surrender into my soul. Believe me, I was not trying to do that. I didn't want to do that. I kind of I if anybody's familiar with Joseph Campbell's diagram, you'll see it's a circle where you start here at the beginning and then you cross a threshold and you go down into the abyss or the dark night of the soul. And I have been there. It is not a fun place to be because it really is as if you're in this void. Everything you have been taught is not working anymore. You feel hurt or betrayed by other people. And I thought I could trust what I had been taught, or I thought I could trust this person. And look what they have done to me. You know, it really hurts. It hurts a lot. So it's not a fun place to be. And you've lost all your guideposts because nothing you were taught is still working. All the words that you were taught, even, or the concepts or the moral truths or whatever else are not working. So you're in this, I'm going to call it a void, where if you choose to live instead of roll over and die, which I did, then it is, where do I go? How do I get out of this? And what is my next step? Well, your first step is to pick yourself, decide you still want to live and do whatever you need to do right here, right now. Maybe you need to get some food, or maybe you need a roof over your head. I was in a homeless shelter for five days. That I did not want to be there. And I got thrown out of what I thought was my home. I don't mean thrown out. I chose to leave because I could no longer stay in that energy the way it was evolving. So I don't know, where do you want to go from this here, Kathy?
Oh, well, I guess it would be wonderful to have us talk about the heroine's journey. I mean, you're sharing your, I'm reading your book and you're sharing your own journey, but there's a bigger lesson for everyone because, as you mentioned, Joseph Campbell has popularized the hero's journey, but very few people are talking about the heroine's journey. And that's it's time to talk about that.
Well, the heroine's journey, from my perspective, is different from the hero's journey. And the woman who has really popularized the heroine's journey is Maureen Murdoch. And I have spent time with Maureen in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where she's given weekend retreats. Interesting experience. It helped me go into more depth. But even the heroine's journey is unique to each individual woman because each of us has walked our own path, was brought up in a certain kind of family, and our parents were either supportive or they were abusive. In some cases, some people had to go through a divorce when they were children, or being beaten up by their fathers, or really other hurtful stuff. So the thing about my journey is my own unique journey. There is nobody else on the planet who has, if you're looking now at the microcosm of my journey, it is unique and it's different from the microcosmic journey that each other person on this planet is traveling. I think we're all traveling our own heroes or heroines journey, but there are archetypal patterns throughout this. And, frankly, at this point, I think I have lived every single archetype.
Oh
no. Demeter, Persephone, Hestia, Aphrodite for a little while. I forget what some of the others. Athena, definitely. She's probably the goddess archetype that I most identify with, because I have this really strange combination of having had many, many, many mystical experiences, but also having practiced law in Atlantic City, New Jersey for 22 years when Donald Trump was building his first casino there. So it's kind of this weird left brain, right brain journey that I have navigated. And there have been lots of times when I truly have not known where I'm going or why I'm going there, but it's almost like following an inner tuition. And or I will add this, I went through an experience of overcoming my fear and terror, because it's really hard when you feel you're all alone. And who can you trust? But I went through this experience. I don't know. Do you want to hear the entire story, or do we not have time for that?
Oh, no, it's whatever you feel. I mean, basically what we're doing here is we're talking about people's journey to their soul. And this is part of your journey to your soul and to your fascination in words. It's all of it. So whatever you'd like to share, I think it will help all of us.
Well, if you look at the logo behind me, and when you get to the end of the journey, you cross the threshold. I think of it almost into your subconscious mind. And sometimes that's a fascinating, beautiful place to be, and there are other times it's terrifying. So that a lot of my transformational process has been dealing with my own fear or terror. I went through an experience, and this is in the book. The story is in the book. I don't know whether you've seen it yet. But it was when I was practicing law in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I had contracts with the city to do real estate work, to do foreclosure work for the city, so that they could take title to dilapidated properties and then renew them, bring the neighborhoods up. That was the purpose. And I got a reasonable amount of money for it. It was a substantial part of my income. It wasn't all that I did, but it was a lot of what I did. And I had two wonderful paralegals working for me. Well, the councilman in the district in which I lived asked me to put his election sign in my front yard. Well, I knew a little bit about this councilman and unfortunately had already dealt with him a little bit. I'd go into City Hall and I'd see him ordering the cleaning women around. Well, work faster. What's wrong with you? You're not doing this right. And I had also heard that he had beaten up his wife so badly that she ended up in the hospital. Well, this is not the kind of person I would support. And the other thing was I was an independent contractor for the city. So I wouldn't have put any politician's sign in my front yard. So he asked me to put his sign in my front yard when he was running for re-election. I said, no. At which point he started slandering me. You see the same pattern going on right now in our world in a much larger macrocosmic level.
Mhm.
It's the same pattern. So you can take these individual patterns and expand them out to the whole planet. They're going on all over the place. He slandered me. He said he needed more information. He would show the city how to make money. They really ought to fire me. And I'm going through these what ifs in my mind. What if I lose this contract? Am I going to have to fire my wonderful paralegals because I don't have enough money to pay them? Am I going to be able to pay my mortgage? Am I going to be homeless? These are the kind of mental projections that I'm putting out into the world. Or not. Or maybe they're just circling around in my own mind, but they're there. And I was terrified. I didn't know what to do with this. I mean, he asked for information. I gave it to him. He finally demanded that I appear before city council to defend my contract. And then they would decide whether to renew it or whether to get rid of me because I was costing them too much money. So I'm going through sleepless night after sleepless night, just with my mind going around in circles. And then one morning, I was sitting on the sofa in my own living room. I was safe there. But I also didn't know how to deal with this bully. This is another archetypal pattern, bully coward. And suddenly I was down on my knees. I don't think I put it quite this way in the book, but this is where I was. I was down on my knees on my own living room floor. And this is an intellectual agnostic speaking. I just want you to know that. I'm down on my knees on my living room floor, tears streaming down my face, saying, God, help me. Now, as I spoke those words, I could feel this calm settling over me all of a sudden. And it felt as if together we could do this.
Yeah.
So just to end my story, at that point, is something shifted in me. This is one of my transformational experiences. And it was overcoming the fear, but not because I was in there pounding, trying to overcome the fear. I'm setting this as a goal and I'm going to do it. That was not what it was. It was a surrender into, I cannot do this by myself. I don't know how to do it. So at that point, something shifted in me. It felt as if I had support. I couldn't conceptualize what this support was, but I could experience it. And then I really started working hard. I got all my files together. I went through them all. I put together how much money the city was paying me, because he was all focused on money, thinking about money, how much the city was paying me and how much I was bringing in by doing this foreclosure work for the city. And there weren't a lot of people who had as much experience with the foreclosure work as I did at that point. This councilman clearly didn't understand it at all. So he forces me to go in and appear before a city council to defend my contract. So at that point, I wouldn't, it's hard to talk about. It wasn't exactly a rage, but it was a really fierce determination. And at that point, I went in with this big fat file of all the information I had put together after spending a lot of hours on pulling this stuff together. I sat down right in the front seat and I glared at that guy. And he wouldn't look at me. It was real.
Oh.
He would not look at me. And he started out with his usual bluster about, well, this woman doesn't deserve to have a contract with the city, blah, 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 blah. Got quieter and quieter and quieter. And then other council people started standing up and speaking on my behalf, supporting me. Bottom line, at the end of that council meeting, every single council person voted to renew my contract, including the bully.
Oh, wow. Love the happy ending. So that was a connection where I've heard a lot of women say this, where life gets difficult. And I remember someone saying, well, I remember my mother crying and on the floor, banging, got it all out, crying, just screaming and thrashing, and then got herself up and said, okay, now we'll do something.
Something shifts for you. That's a transformational experience, but it also released my fear.
Right, right.
I was no longer afraid of this guy or what he could do to me.
Right. Well, the other part is the game was up. Because once you had proof of your work, if they weren't happy with your work, then they should have spoken up time and time and time and time and time again, right? So there's so much of that. But I understand, I ran a division at Arthur Anderson. I was right below partner and there were 80 employees. And I remember as being a sensitive, you could feel the people around you, and highly competitive.
Well, the glass ceiling too.
As a woman, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot in the book, I think, about the male female dynamics, is control of the money supply, control of the sexual supply. Did you ever think of that?
Well, I do think that I was aware of everything when I first came here as a little girl. I remember wondering how you created unconditional love, because all I could see was conditional love. So I was aware young about that game. And of course, then it's also when you're not in unconditional love, it's all manipulations. It's all and safety.
Well, safety matters. Safety is important. I've learned that after losing the home that I had spent so many years caring for and being in a homeless shelter with still 3 sons to take care of, thank you very much, was not easy. This is not an easy path, but when you take each next step, as you are able, with the resources you have available, you become very wise and very strong as well. And there's certain stuff you will not put up with from other people. You just don't support it.
Right.
You either walk away and you don't, it's not fighting back. I mean, I talk about this power over power under dynamic, power against dynamic, which we see so much of in the world these days. And then there's a power with dynamic, which is first of all, reconnecting with your own soul, which is what you were talking about earlier. And when you do that, you have such stability and strength, and it is faith in a way. I mean, you can't really talk about that. You can talk about it in certain ways, but the map is not the territory. The words are not the experience.
Right.
So you know, the menu is not the food you eat. And everybody's got different words to talk about these very similar experiences, but we fight over the words. You know, which religion is the right religion to belong to? Well, I can tell you, they are all words pointing at this reconnecting experience. Now, I'm going to take this a step farther than you have, I think, Kathy. Although maybe I think you take it this way too. You look at the logo behind me. And this is also on our website, Planetary Peace Power, andprosperity.org. And there's a much more complete explanation of that logo, both in my book and also on the website. But we're conditioned we're taught words as children, and we're taught what we have to do and what we're not allowed to do. And we're taught a whole pile of stuff. I got a whole section in the book about this as well. But so we're kind of conditioned. There's a different diagram in the book, which was my original diagram, which is the diagram that is in my first book, Shift, Change Your Words, Change Your World. But you get conditioned into a single way of thinking and being by your parents, your teachers, your friends, whoever you come in contact with as you're growing up. And you listen to them because you don't know it. You know, you're exploring. So you get stuck in a single little black dot. You'll see this on the website, not what's behind me, but it's kind of similar. You get stuck in a single way of thinking that you have been taught. And the challenge is to release that limited way of thinking and reconnect with your soul, that center point, which is, you can't conceptualize it. You can experience it, and you can use words. Words are fingers pointing at the moon. According to Buddhism, they are not the moon. So the words are useful tools, but they're not truth, which is one. Oh, let me finish this thought. Then once you're reconnected with that energetic, let's call it, I like to call it a living, breathing energy. Once you are reconnected with that and you are able to allow it to flow through you and out into the world, then you can start manifesting from that connection, which is all those rainbow colored lines going out from the center point there of the and that center point is too big. It should be a timeless, spaceless point of pure energetic connection. That's the best way I can express that. Let's stop there and see if you have any other questions, or maybe we're out of time.
Oh, no, we're good. We're good. So the question I have is about your connection to soul. And I know there's in your book, you say fully immersed in and supported only by that center point of living, breathing energy that my mind could not conceptualize, but that my soul had learned to trust and allow to flow through me.
Which is pretty much what I just said.
Exactly. But I want people to sense that, because we're talking about surrendering to the stillness and the love that you are, and allowing yourself to be worthy of that connection. That's part of the programming that you're talking about, relinquishing from whatever program, whether it was through our parents, through our culture, through our city, through whatever. All of those served until they don't. And then when you lose them, you're kind of in a floating area until you find another landing space. But if you connect to your soul, that is your compass, that's your GPS.
It's a tool. It's a tool, and it's not static. It's very dynamic. It's living and breathing, and you can feel the difference. And you can also, when you're in a dynamic relationship with another person who is either screaming at you because of their own conditioning, you're not doing things the way they think you ought to do them. They want to stand over you with a whip. I don't play well in this. Because, I use my mind to observe. Observation is so important. Just in each and every moment, your mind can send you off in tangents. Again, the Buddhists, going into Buddhism, they have a concept called the witness, where you watch your mind. Just sit and watch the thoughts going through your mind. Boy, are they flying through fast. And they change. And sometimes they're useful tools, and sometimes they're prisons. And you need to release the prisons, the words that imprison you, such as "you're stupid," or "you're not good enough," or "sit down," or whatever somebody else is trying to impose on you. You let that go. You move out. Just think for a minute. If somebody is doing this to you, you're here and you're not hurting anybody, but somebody sure wants to control you and turn you into their clone. You move out, and then they don't have anybody. They're going, if they want to abuse somebody, they're going to have to find somebody else, because you're not there to be abused.
I used to say this to one of my siblings, that it's a dance, and if you don't do your side, there is no dance. But it didn't work, but it was worth a try.
Well, there's some people who will dance with you, and there are other people who just want to abuse you.
But you still have to dance with that. You choose somehow, either whether it's a lesson or a pre-assignment before you embodied. I believe you choose that experience until you don't.
Well, exactly. And then ultimately, you don't want to be there anymore. You don't want to continue being put down. And the words can put other people down. They can really they're one thing that can make people feel small and not good enough. And that's one of the releases. If you go onto our website, you'll see our vision statement and our mission statement there. And one of the things that needs to be shifted, and I don't know that it's setting a goal, really. I think it's more a surrender, but it's feeling not good enough.
Right.
Did somebody call you stupid? Are you really stupid? No, you are not. And then something shifts, and you're standing in your own strength and power.
Right.
You're here, and they can try to abuse you, but they will not knock you down.
Right. Well, so I want to talk about another concept that I read in your book, about change your conduct, change the world. And it's change your words, change your conduct, change the world, probably. But could you speak a little bit about that concept for everyone?
All right, okay. Look at the green screen behind me, which says planetary peace, power, and prosperity. I've been playing with that for a long time. That's the macrocosm of the microcosm. The first step is for each and every person on this planet to bring inner peace, personal empowerment, and a sense of, it's not money. Prosperity has a much broader meaning, at least for me. It's gratitude. It's gratitude for the one precious life you've been given, and what are you going to do with that one precious life? And why are you on this planet? And what kind of meaning can you give to the, whatever body you've been born into, whatever resources support you, you've been given a gift with which to work. So anyway, prosperity can also be just going out on the beach at sunset and watching the sunset go down, or walking along the beach and picking up free seashells. Doesn't cost a penny. So money can be part of it, but we made up the whole money system too. So I could go off on that. I won't right now. Let me finish this thought, which is, if each one of us would look for the tools to bring inner peace, and there are a ton of them out there, meditation, Tai Chi, journaling, I've got some of them in my book as well. But if everyone would bring that inner peace, personal empowerment, and a sense of gratitude, or gratitude is the best word I can think of, but it's thank you for this one precious life I've been given. Thank you for the free sunsets. Thank you for nature. Thank you for this food that has been given to me to eat. Thank you for the roof over my head, the shelter that I have. If everyone were to bring inner peace, personal empowerment, and a sense of gratitude or abundance into their own lives, everyone on the planet, it would become planetary. And we would have a peaceful, powerful, prosperous planet. It's not asking anybody to clone anybody else, but we can learn from one another. If we are open to listening and sharing information and supporting both ourselves and others as we are able. I mean, you're talking about a cosmic dance, I think, before, which is one way I think of it too. It's not static, it's dynamic. It's either a cosmic dance or a cosmic game that we are all playing. But if you don't know you're playing it, if you're not aware of it, you can't play it consciously and intentionally, which is really important. Let me just throw out one more thing here at the end. When I was going through this dark night of the soul, I started asking myself questions. These are all first-person singular questions, because this is the inner work. I started out with, what do I think right here, right now? What's going on in my head? What do I think? What do I feel? Rage, terror, pain, not feeling good enough, hunger, whatever it is. What do I think? What do I feel? What do I need? What do I need? And then what are my choices? In other words, what steps can I take to bring into my life what I need? Then several years later, I added a couple more, which were, what do I need to know? This is Teilhard de Chardin's noosphere. What do I need to know? And whom can I trust? If I can focus on answering those questions for myself, and a really good way of doing it is just sitting down and journaling give yourself a couple of hours with nobody else around in a peaceful place, hopefully, where you can just write without censorship, no censorship. You write whatever flows through your mind. You will be amazed at the shift in your own perspective and the clarity you will receive, and new ways of moving forward in your own life that are supportive both for you and the people around you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think I'm going to have to write those down and practice with that. That's a practice.
It's one of many, and I talk about a whole ton of practices, and there are the individual practices, there are the one-on-one practices, and then there are group practices, which is generally some kind of circle work,
right?
Or conscious conversations. Well, that is what circle work is. It's sharing of thoughts in a group with a particular focus, facilitated by somebody who knows what they're doing.
Well,
you want to make sure you got somebody who knows what they're doing.
Right. Well, you were around Barbara Marx Hubbard as well as I was.
I was one of her agents of conscious evolution mentors.
Yes. Well, I was more, I wasn't as much a student as a reader of all of her works, and I was around her when she was here in Colorado. So I got the benefit of seeing a brilliant example of someone with passion and purpose and remarkable future creation, where she, just like you, are doing the same, where you're planting seeds for the future with a powerful path and a powerful thought, which I'm hoping your book will be an example to many. So why don't we one more time explain a little bit about your book, and then we'll make sure we give everyone a way to purchase it.
Okay. Well, it's called Surrendering into Soul, a Heroine's Journey. That was not my idea. I mentored with somebody who came up with that idea, and I thought, ooh, that sounds as if it really worked. And my life has felt like a heroine's journey, and it was not the kind of life I envisioned at age 20. No.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. None of us. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It does sort of follow the path of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. Mine is unique, so it doesn't perfectly follow his path, and I've had people criticize me for not doing that or for using inconsistent language too. But what is included in the book is sometimes I don't even know whether I'm writing fiction or nonfiction, to tell you the truth. But I'm writing what I need to write. It's not perfect, but I have spent a lot of time putting information out there that people can take or not as they like. They'll either find something they can use or not, and they'll put it down and walk away and never pick it up again. But I know from my first book, the reviews I've gotten, that there are a lot of people that get something, and it's fascinating to watch what they get. Some people use it like a tarot deck that just opened to a page one morning and it has exactly what they need that morning, or somebody will read it one time and then go back and read it 3 months later, and oh my gosh, they're getting something entirely different out of it, which is interesting to me. Anyway, the section, a lot of it is my own stories, and I use storytelling deliberately, which I talk about a little bit in the book. I do very little didactic teaching, simply because it keeps me out of self-righteousness. And it's just something that doesn't work for me unless I'm talking about words. And there is a whole section where I just talk about words. We made them up. We created this thing when we ate of the tree of knowledge. We created words. What do? They separate, divide, and categorize.
That's right.
And then, why did we do it? So there's a whole section just about words. That's the didactic teaching. There are practices. I mean, I go through a lot of both individual practices and one-on-one practices and group practices. Vision boards would be another thing that's in there. If you haven't done a vision board, if you haven't done journaling, if you haven't done circle work, there's and ropes courses.
Huh.
And aura. This is something else I've done. This is about commitment. Bending a steel rebar with a partner using your necks.
Wow.
That is possible. I've done it. And when they told me I was going to do it, I'm in a retreat. You've got to be out of your mind. But it anchors something in your soul that you can do the impossible. And maybe that's what I'm doing with Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity, but I know what I have. And the book ends with Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity, and the work we are doing there together. I know what I have hold of at this point, after having lived for 87.5 years. I have a semantic solution to all the human created suffering on the planet, just by paying attention to your words and understanding how to use them and how you can use them to shift your own energetic field or the dynamics going around you, going on around you.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
we'll
please.
have to do this again because we're at the end of our time. But Janet, what's the URL again for your website so everyone can get a hold of you?
Well, Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity .org is the website, and it's not an ampersand, it's AND spelled out.
Okay.
There's a lot of content on that. We do, when I say we, it's me and the people I'm working with, who are different rainbow lines going out from that center point, but they're all connected with that center point somehow. We do a weekly TV show called Planetary Peace, Power, and Prosperity, which live streams on YouTube, I know, and Facebook Live and Spotify and iHeartRadio, and I don't even know where else it goes, but it goes a lot of places. So together, it has to be together. It's really hard to talk about. There's kind of an integration here or a connection, but it's not cloning one another.
No, it's the recipe. It's like an orchestra where each person has their chord and it makes this beautiful symphony. And the symphony would be incomplete without the others.
That's a really good metaphor. Yes, there's certain types of words I tend to use. Storytelling, I ask a lot of questions because it, first of all, it shows that I'm really interested in the other person, how they think, what's their background, what are their challenges. It helps me relate to them or dance with them or play a game with them.
Right. Well, we all benefit. So, well, thank you so much, Janet. Thank you. It's always a delight to be with you. And this is a very intelligent way to get out of your mind and get into your heart and connect to the bigger picture of the human the history we're in right now.
The cosmos. This is cosmological.
Yes, it is.
It's dancing the cosmic dance, playing the cosmic game.
Yeah, it's perfect. Well,
so
thank you so much.
Thanks for playing.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.